Alright, so while I was editing the video for this, turns out it was actually super long. It was roughly like 30 minutes long, even with me trying to condense everything. So trying to redo the video, make it a lot shorter. As you can see, we have the Pulsefire Haste wireless here. Really quick, I just want to note, I thought the Pulsefire Haste 2 or like the updated version was supposed to be come out second quarter, but they've already like kind of announced it, and it's pretty much already up for like reviewing. So I guess it's coming out a lot sooner than I thought. However, I still think it is noteworthy to do a review of this and see how it compares to the new one when that comes out, and if they fixed anything of any problems that I say today. So before getting into the actual like review of the mouse, of how it performed and its hardware, I want to quickly go over its software, because currently right now I am like 2 for 2 with really bad software, this one being worse than SteelSeries, or at least with my experience thus far. So plugging in the mouse and going through Ingenuity's HyperX software, it wanted to do a firmware update, and it failed 3 times in total. The 4th time it finally worked, the firmware update. Just to quickly note, the first time doing the firmware update, I did have my Pulsar X2 Mini plugged in, as well as my Viper Mini plugged in, so I had 3 mice in total plugged into my one PC. So I thought it was a bandwidth issue. So after restarting my PC, it failed 2 more times with the firmware update. So not great. I guess it wasn't really a bandwidth issue with having 3 mice plugged in. It just was really bad. And looking into reviews through the Microsoft Store, apparently this is an issue of Ingenuity, of it just being really bad software and other people having problems with their mice as well. Hopefully when the Pulsefire Haste 2 comes out, or hopefully soon, just in general, they update the software so there won't be many hiccups, and hopefully just overall better experience with the software. Once I did update the firmware though, the software was okay. It luckily wasn't doing something like SteelSeries did with just advertising a crap ton of stuff. It just worked how intended. So getting into the actual review of this mouse, quickly want to note it does come with a grip tape, and also it comes with a second pair of skates, which is pretty nice. Also USB-C. I am slightly out of focus. That is wonderful. I do want to say though, this mouse, the wireless version, I want to say it kind of went under the radar due to its underwhelming specs at the time with what else was coming out. The sensor slightly underwhelming, and I believe the sensor itself also had problems just in general. So far for me though, I haven't had any problems with the sensor. I have not been using this mouse pad. I used this mouse with the Lethal Gaming Gear Venus Pro. I have not had any issues whatsoever. Same thing with the clicks, slightly outdated. Same thing with, like, again, the sensor, very slightly outdated with everything that was coming out, especially at the price point of this mouse. Not to say that it was bad, it's just at the price point there were better specs for better mice, really. So it kind of just went under the radar due to that. However, I do want to say the shape is actually very nice. I was pleasantly surprised about the shape. It fills out the hand a lot more. One thing a lot of people would probably dislike about the Viper series is how narrow it is here. This is more on the wide side, so that is actually very surprising. That I really like the shape of this. So just to quickly go over everything else, the switches are actually still pretty good, even though, like I said, slightly outdated, underwhelming. It's still not bad. Surprisingly, the skates themselves, these are actually core pad skates. However, the stock skates were actually surprisingly decent, especially coming with 2 of them. Again, surprisingly decent. Hopefully they continue that trend with their Pulsefire Haste 2, but they aren't skates where I like immediately recommend switching them out like the Viper. Those skates on here, I said, I believe in the video of my review of them, to swap them out immediately because they had a long break-in period and they were very scratchy. These worked pretty much out of the box and were fairly smooth. One thing for me with how my reviews go, I am a big fan of scroll wheels, and this scroll wheel I really hope that they update in the second one. It feels very, very cheap. It feels as bad as the glorious Model O minus I had. Just the rubber scroll wheel part. This part isn't as bad. However, I haven't been using this mouse as long as the glorious Model O minus, so not sure how it will hold up. Hopefully for longer. The texture of it isn't super bad. Just thus far of my mice reviews go and the mice I've used, this is probably my second least favorite scroll wheel. I like my scroll wheels to have like very chunky steps, if that makes sense, even though I haven't done a review yet. But the Pulsar X2 Mini is my favorite scroll wheel. It feels fairly heavy with the steps, if that makes sense at all. And also I like the height of the scroll wheel. As you can see, very prominent. This, it pretty much like hides almost. That was a problem I had with another mouse I had. Something I quickly want to touch on this, the mouse also came, as you can see, with grip tape. It also has side button grip tapes, except I did not want to use them. So I want to quickly go over the grip tape that HyperX has versus core pad grip tape. So comparing the two, the HyperX ones, as you can see, there is a pattern. However, it's very textured and it's almost like 3D. I'm not sure how to say that. My vocabulary is very minimal, very basic. Even though the core pads also has a design, it's not super textured where you're going to feel like every single one of those like squiggles, if that makes sense. This, it has a hexagon pattern and you could feel every single pattern, every single hexagon there. That is something that some people might not like, versus something like this. This is just very smooth with a design on it. You could barely feel the design, so I do like that a lot more. It's also a lot grippier in comparison to the HyperX ones. However, this does get the job done. Another note on the side here, like I said before, I did not use the grip tape for the side buttons. So using the grip tape on the side here, without grip tape on the side buttons, it does make it very smooth and flat, almost flush together. Again, something I don't like having happen on my mice. I very much so like very prominent, pronounced side buttons that I can feel, and I'm not going to accidentally like run over or slide over. So something like the Pulsar, again, an example, like they are very prominent. They stick out quite a bit. Same with the Logitech G Pro Superlight. They stick out quite a bit. Overall, I really do think this is a great mouse. It just very much so went under the radar for all the reasonings I said. The hardware it came with in comparison to the other mice that was coming out, especially at, I believe, a $80 price tag. However, I did get this mouse at $65. The lowest I've seen this go for was $55, I believe, or $50. And not only that, I believe the weight of this is 69 to 70 grams. I might be wrong on that. I'll have to double check. As far as the sensor and switches go in the new one, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen too much of the new one, but so far it seems like a good direction, good step in the right direction. Now, do I recommend this wireless Pulsefire Haste, especially here at the beginning of 2023? Even at $55, I cannot recommend it, especially with how close we are to a new version of this mouse. And with everything else coming out and has been out, the Viper Ultimate with the dock was on sale for $55 recently. I'm not sure if it still is on sale, but even then, still a better mouse, even though slightly more heavy. just overall, I'd recommend something else, or hopefully this goes on sale for even cheaper in the $30 range. If so, that'd be quite the pickup, I'd say, at $30. Otherwise, if you do want this mouse, I just recommend waiting for this new version of it, or just picking something else up. But yeah, hopefully this review helped, and I'll see you guys later.